the Canik METE MC9. Let's check it out. Canik hit the U.S. firearms market in 2012, and since that time it has been just amazing to see what they've done and how responsive they are to shooters. I mean, they have made a number of different models and they keep upgrading and upgrading those models. One of the things that they were really missing was a Micro 9. Now they have a subcompact that's great, but really, because of the SIG P365 and the revolution that really put the firearms market on notice, and now we've seen a lot of different offerings. Canik is coming in with their METE MC9. This is a 12+1 or a 15+1 magazine capacity, and it's a very small package. This is an excellent concealed carry option. And the great thing about Canik is it comes in at a more reasonable price than its counterparts, and yet the quality doesn't suffer. And we really appreciate Canik USA for sending the METE MC9 for this review. Guys, this is one that I've anticipated for a while. All right, guys, like I said, this is one that's been very anticipated. Again, for the past 3 years, we've seen glimpses of this handgun, and it's great to see it finally imported into the U.S. Of course, it carries along the Canik reputation, which is really high. And there's a lot of fans out there for Canik. So the great thing is about Canik, again, is the quality versus the price. I mean, it is like a great matchup because you're getting a really good, solid quality firearm, typically for less money. Now, this is the METE series, which they introduced in their full-size models just a couple of years ago. This just happens to be the same type colors, but the METE model is more for a combat self-defense type firearm. The new rival that's been introduced over the past year is more toward competitive shooters. And so the Canik METE is definitely something that, to me, this was an exceptional firearm in itself. And this is just its little brother. This one comes standard with 12 rounds. You get a 15-round magazine. And with the original METE, this is just an 18-round mag capacity. So you're getting a much smaller handgun and really not losing a lot of the round capacity, which is huge. And that's one of the big things about these small little Micro 9s, is they're giving us a lot of capacity, yet for a really small size. Let's go ahead and drop our magazine. This is a 12-round magazine. We do have the finger extension on here. It does come just with a flush base plate, but I went ahead and added that because I like that on these Micro 9s. And then, gun's unloaded. You also get a 15-round magazine in this small package. And of course, it'll hang off the end. Just has the magazine plate that just extends a little bit, but it gives you 15+1. Makes a great backup mag. We have a black nitride slide. It's very well done, nicely cut. I really like the styling on Caniks. Again, sometimes when you get the budget firearms, the styling starts to hurt, but Canik really does an exceptional job. Here we have the polymer, which is very well done. Texturing, really aggressive, but not too sharp. And it is all around the firearm, including the magazine base pad. I mean, I thought that was pretty impressive. There's no memory pad right here for, like a lot of guns are doing right now, but really it's just a very small gun. One thing is the slide stops, they're ambidextrous and they're extended. Didn't have any issues deploying the slide stops when I was shooting. You have your magazine release, which is steel, and it is reversible to the other side. So this can be a fully ambidextrous gun. One thing too is we have 4-slot Picatinny rail, so it's going to give you a lot of options for lights and lasers, and it's narrow, even though it fits your Picatinny. It's not big and obtrusive on the end. And then we have optics ready. This is for the Shield RMSC footprint, and it actually mounts directly to the slide, and that's new for Canik. And then you still retain your back sight. It's just blacked out. It is metal, and then we have a white dot at the front. But you can see it's 1.18 inches in thickness, so it's really thin, very small. The barrel is 3.18 inches in length. So it's that size, it's that sweet spot that gives you really, honestly, a shootable firearm. We have already tested this out at the range. And spoiler alert, we had 0 malfunctions. It just ran like a top, but honestly, it happens to all the Caniks that I take out to the range. They're just very reliable. Now, with the back straps, and we're going to look at the accessories. One of the big things about Canik is they just include a lot of accessories, and so we're going to check that out as well. Now, as far as size, we wanted to compare it to the original P365. This is what started the whole Micro 9 experience. And I mean, you know, SIG really hit it out of the ballpark with this gun. 10-round magazine, and it's empty. You can get a 12-round magazine. You can get extended magazines for this now. A lot of aftermarket support. I mean, these are just great guns. And probably the #1 selling concealed carry option out there. It is going to be a little bit smaller than the Mete. And mainly because the barrel is 3.1 inches. So you got just a little bit of a hangover, not even quite a 1/4 of an inch. And then here at the bottom, you definitely have a little bit more, but you have 12 in the Mete and only 10 in the SIG P365. And then of course, if you add on the extension, it'll actually ride down lower. So definitely a smaller gun, I mean, by all means. But one thing about it is the price is typically going to run you about $100 or more difference. That's one of the things that Canik really brings to the table, is good quality and, again, a great price. We have front and rear cocking serrations, even on this really small slide, really easy to grab, and great for press checks. Texturing on the front of the trigger guard, comes down, has a nice high undercut, a little bit of an undercut right here at the trigger. Nice grip angle coming up, and of course you have 2 additional back straps. A lot of times for your Micro 9s you don't get that. Now the trigger is a pre-cocked striker, so once you engage your slide, it is pre-cocked. And so that's one of the reasons why it gives it a really good trigger pull. Now here we have our safety shoe on the trigger, and that means unless you have a full finger pad on the trigger, it's not going to fire. It blocks it at the back of the receiver. And so here with the trigger, we have a little bit of take up right here, and then we hit a wall and we have some resistance, and then a nice break. Now, I'm going to tell you, Caniks, especially the rivals, the trigger is absolutely phenomenal. This is just a good trigger. I mean, it is a good solid trigger. It's not quite where the rival is. Honestly, probably not quite where the original Mete is, but it's still a really nice trigger. Let's check reset. Right there, and it actually pushes your finger just a little bit. So the reset is really fast, tactile, and audible. Check the trigger pull weight with our Lyman trigger gauge and Brownells. 4 pounds, 7.3 ounces. 4 pounds, 2.4 ounces, under the 4.5 pound range. Here at the back you see that red dot, and that means that the striker is cocked. And this has a pre-cocked striker, so it gives it that better trigger pull. And so when we pull the trigger, it just disappears. Now that does not mean that the gun is loaded or unloaded. It just means that the striker is in the cocked position. But let's check the loaded chamber indicator. We're going to use just a dummy round. You'll notice right here, there's a little bit of a rise right here at the top, and that lets you know it's tactile. It actually has a little bit of a red little dot right there, but it doesn't stick up too high. And I've seen some that really kind of ride up high. Just gives you a little bit of an indication that this gun, there is a round in the chamber. We have Canik METE MC9. Now, one thing, anytime I do a Canik review, a lot of people come up and say, well, in Turkey it's actually called Janik or Chanik. But here in the US, this is Canik. Just like we don't call Turkey Turkey. Now, while this is a short Picatinny rail, there are lights that work right away. And this is one of the O-Light, and it's the Baldur S. And this is actually adjustable. If you have a small compact, this thing is the bomb. I mean, it'll fit almost every Picatinny rail that's out there. But guys, having a light option to me in a self-defense situation is very important. I don't always carry a light on my firearm for concealed carry, but definitely for home defense, and this can go both ways, and that's one of the great things about this size pistol. Now, I opted not to install the red dot sight on here just because I wanted to show it as most people get it out of the box. And you know, there's so many different choices out there, guys, but red dot does give you some advantages. Just take some time to train with it, and guys, it is really fast and really accurate. But even if you don't put a red dot on it, I love having the capability of having that option if I want it. Weight on the MC9. 1 pound, 5.2 ounces. Weight on the SIG P365. 1 pound, 2.6 ounces. I want to give a big thanks to Fiocchi for sponsoring the ammo, all made in the USA. One of the largest suppliers of ammunition in the country. And also, we want to thank Lula Loaders for loading these magazines super fast, saving our thumbs. Tell you what, guys, you know, it's super small. I've been waiting on this for a long time. This was kind of introduced in Europe originally, and didn't know how they were going to do it. But I mean, these micro 9s are great, and when Canik comes in and really puts out something that is good quality, but typically the price is just right. The black nitride finish on it, the grip has that just right texturing. The muzzle flip is very mild, and for this kind of pistol. Now, I have one of the extended 15-round magazines in it, but even shooting it with the standard mag, even the little finger groove, I mean, it just works really well. It's very manageable in your hand. Serrations are good, tight. I like that accessory rail. We're going to do some light testing with it. Ambi slide lock. It's just a great gun, and Canik keeps doing that. So when this came out, I was like, okay, Canik's hit the market. And guys, if you're looking for something that's very reasonable yet has incredible performance, you can't beat the METE MC. It's just a great shooting little gun. I'm telling you guys, the recoil management on this thing is fantastic. And with the capability, great concealed carry option. It's just like every other Canik, except it's just micro. I love it. We're going to be testing out some defensive ammunition. This is from Fiocchi. It's their Extrema XPT line. 9mm Luger, and it's 124 grain XTP jacketed hollow point. And so we're just going to make sure that it's reliable in the METE MC9. You can feel a little bit more power for sure. But still, man, this gun is so manageable even with that self-defense ammunition. Tell you what, guys, it's going to be hard to beat. All right, for disassembly, we're going to drop our magazine, check the chamber. The gun is empty. There's a little bit of a different process than a lot of the Striker Fire polymer frame pistols. So first thing you do is bring back your slide about 1/8 of an inch, bring back your takedown tabs at the same time, and then pull the trigger. That just releases the striker. Now we're going to take the slide and come about just a little bit, about 1 inch, and then we're going to just pull straight up. And there are corresponding slots in your slide that fit right down on the slide rails, and that's what holds it in. We have a recoil spring and guide rod, and this is dual captive, and this is one of the reasons why that the recoil is just mild. And then we have our barrel, which is of course the tilting John Browning design. So nothing really exceptional there except that it's just good quality. One thing about the frame is the rails are pretty beefy, they're pretty thick. A lot of times on polymer striker fire pistols they're very thin, and so this gives you just a little bit more surface, but overall your locking block, you know, just the whole entire pistol, I mean it's just a striker fire pistol. In the slide, trigger safety right here, or striker safety, you have your striker here. We have the ramp, the weight savings through the cuts, through the slide, you can see them, and just very well done. There's no tooling marks on here, it just has a really nice finish. And one of the things about black nitride, if you can't really hide imperfections, I mean it'll show up. We have some scuffing here, but that's just from firing and where the barrel has rubbed against the slide. But overall, that's about all you have to do to field strip. It's pretty simple. So let's go ahead and reassemble, drop in our barrel, put in our recoil spring and guide rod, get it against the back of the barrel. Now, one thing you don't want to do is to do like a lot of them and just run it through this slide right here, because it will get stuck. Don't ask me how I know, but it will get stuck. So make sure that when you put it back, you just come just in front of your slide rail right here, and you just find it, you drop down, and it's done. Very simple, very easy, and we're back in business. Now, another thing that Canik really does well is they offer a lot of accessories right up front. Got a nice hard case, it is lockable. Open it up, of course we have our firearm, we have a holster, and Canik's come a long way with their holsters. Some of the originals were paddle designs, usable, but you know, you were typically looking to replace it pretty quickly. This is a really exceptional holster. This looks like it's injected molded, but it's really well done. And you have your clips. This goes into a belt inside the waistband. It just works really well. In fact, I was kind of surprised. I thought that it might be a little rigid, but once I put it on, it gave that opening to where I could reholster without any problem, drawing it very easily, and it does give you some retention, so it kind of locks into place, and there is a screw to set that tension. I was very impressed actually with this holster. It just seemed to fit in the right place. Drawing it was very natural, and really guys, whether you want to replace this or not, this makes a great holster to be able to carry. Also, of course, we have our 15+1 magazine, and we have a loader as well. You do get that extra base plate. It will come with the flat flush base plate, and then you can either put the finger groove on here or you can leave it. Then here at the top, we have a very nice punch. We have a brush, cleaning rod. We have our additional back straps. One thing though that's really cool is this small little pistol. And this is not mini me, this is actually a tool kit. And so if we open up the base plate for the magazine, you've got tools that are in here ready to go. I mean, this is very impressive. And so that's one of the things about Canik. And two, this little red is not necessarily for safety, it's for you to know where to put your bit drivers. That's just one of the things about Canik that's always impressed me, is they do kind of think of just about everything. I mean, guys, I really don't know of another company that even comes close to putting all this together. And then, of course, you have this sleeve with the owner's manual, so, and a lot of different material as well. And you have your lock. The retail price on the Canik METE MC9 is $439.99. Of course, market price is going to be less. It's the way it runs across the board. When it comes to the SIG P365, retail is $599.99. So, you know, you're about $160 less on manufacturer suggested retail price. One thing I do want to mention though about the SIG is you do typically get the SIG Light night sights, and those are really well done. So that is one thing you're going to get with the SIG. They will have night sight options for the METE and other sight options. It's one of the things about Canik is that they have become so popular, there is a lot of aftermarket support. So guys, if you're looking for a Micro 9 for a concealed carry option, the MC9 just comes in and checks all the boxes. 12 to 15 round magazine capacity, very slim, optics ready, just a very quality firearm. The black nitride finish is exceptional, great sights, and yet you're getting it at a better price. But that really shouldn't be the motivation to buy this gun. It stands toe-to-toe with any Micro 9 out on the market. And again, we really appreciate Canik USA for sending the METE MC9 for this review. Guys, again, been waiting a while on this one, and I was not disappointed. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America, long live the Republic. Means that you're ready to fire, or the striker, the striker is ready for fire, and let it go forward and then pull the trigger. And well, that don't help. Nobody knows what happened. I don't even know what happened. And so responsive to the shooting public. I mean, they put together just some stuff. I mean, it's some cool stuff, but it's stuff. This to me is right there, just right. Just like the Three Bears, this one is just right. All the big gun companies within quality. And yet, and there are some things,